What is going on, everybody? It is Patriots week here on the Fins Up Network. Wrapping up that season series against the Patriots here this week. Obviously, we played them back in week 5. That was that game, the only win that we got while Tua was out for those 4 games while he was on IR in concussion protocol. Won that thriller 15-10. But Dolphins fans, I can promise you, this game is going to have a much different look, different feel from it, and it starts at that quarterback position. Obviously, we were starting Tyler Huntley. They were starting Jacoby Brissett. Well, we got quarterback 1 back, and the Patriots have turned the keys over to Drake Maye, who they hope is going to be quarterback 1 for the foreseeable future. Dolphins fans, we're going to jump into all the action. We got a little bit of a roster news and update today. We'll dive into everything Dolphins and Patriots related. Before we jump in, though, if you haven't gotten subscribed yet, make sure you are doing so. Would definitely appreciate that. And then in the comments, any thoughts, any questions that you would like me to address in this week's final preview and prediction video, you know what to do. Go ahead and drop them in the comments. Let's talk about that roster news. We'll kick things off right there for today, because on Thursday, our positional coaches got to talk to the media. Easy for me to say, right? And Butch Berry was asked if Robert Jones has done enough to stay in the starting lineup when, or I'll add if, Isaiah Wynn ends up being healthy enough to return yet this year. And Butch Berry gave a longer-winded answer than what I'm going to do, but essentially he said, absolutely he has. He's done a great job both on and off the field. He's done every single thing that we ask him to do on a weekly basis. Now, I should add that, yes, Isaiah Wynn still hasn't officially been elevated to the team's active roster. He did have his practice window open. I believe this is week 2 of him having practice window open. But I know there are definitely some fans out there that think, you know what? Isaiah Wynn is an immediate plug-and-play left guard if he does come back. Now, according to Butch Berry and what we've learned today, some things that I've been told over the last few weeks, does not appear to be the case, because we also need to keep in mind the sheer amount of time this guy has missed with that injury. It's been over a year at this point in time since this guy, he's returned to these practices now with his window open, but it's been over a year since this guy's on the field. So even if he does come back, is eligible to come back yet this season, maybe there's going to be a little bit of rust that he's going to need to shake off. So we may end up just being better with keeping Robert Jones at that left guard spot, keeping that continuity that we've actually been able to have this year. Teron Armstead, that's me knocking on wood right there. Hopefully he remains healthy. We obviously lost Austin Jackson earlier, but keeping that continuity that we have so far up front over the first dozen weeks or so. So something to keep an eye on, but I thought was interesting just because of some of the perception that's hanging around Isaiah Wynn right now. You know, if you've seen this before, we typically dive into the injury report as well. I'm actually going to save all injury report talk and updates for this week's final preview and prediction video. So let's jump in to what we can expect to see in this week 12 matchup against the Patriots. We'll start with them offensively, us defensively. So we hit on going against Jacoby Brissett last time. So obviously this is Drake Maye's first appearance against the Dolphins, first real good, solid look that we'll see of him and what he's got to offer. But I tell you what, he has made the Patriots offense, passing offense, I'll say, a lot better than what Jacoby Brissett was doing it. Drake Maye's averaging over 35 passing yards per game, more than Jacoby Brissett. And he's thrown 9 touchdowns in 7 games played, compared to just two passing touchdowns in 6 games played for Jacoby Brissett. Now, one thing that I have been told heading into this week is that Anthony Weaver really considering turning it up, putting the heat on Drake Maye from a blitzing perspective, dialing up more blitzes, not letting this guy sit in the pocket, not letting him get comfortable. I, for one, sign me up. I'm all about this strategy typically against most any rookie quarterbacks. The Patriots offensive line, quarterback and offensive line, some sacks belong to a quarterback, but they are 26th in the league, allowing 3.2 sacks per game. So yeah, I'm all about throwing different looks add a rookie in Drake Maye, bring pressure from different areas, mix in those blitzes, do everything you can possible to make him uncomfortable, put him in uncomfortable situations, attempt to speed up his thought process as well. But another thing that we need to be aware of when it comes to Drake Maye, I'm kind of shifting to the Patriots rushing attack right now, but it's his ability to escape, make plays with his legs. He's averaging nearly 40 rushing yards per game so far this year. He's at 37. So he's shown that willingness to tuck it and run when things break down. Overall, that Patriots running game, statistically, it's been real average. Ramondre Stevenson, he leads the team in carries, yards, touchdowns, but he's under 4 yards per carry. He's also fumbled 4 times. He's lost 2 of them, which because of his early season fumbles, he actually ended up losing some playing time to Antonio Gibson in the first part of the season right there. But despite the fact that they haven't been very consistent on the ground this year, we got a big dosage of when they were pretty damn successful running the ball. Back in that Week 5 matchup, the two main running backs, Stevenson and Gibson, they combined for 141 yards on 8 carries and a touchdown. That's nearly 8 yards per carry. I believe both of them ripped off runs that went for more than 20 or 30 in that run. Now, I will say that happened before our run defense started heating up a little bit, because I talked in last week's preview video against the Raiders that, hey, if we can hold their run game in check, this run defense is going to creep its way into the top 10 in that stat category. And guess what? We did it. We're exactly 10th. We're allowing 109 rushing yards per game. So let's see, hope that we see a little bit more of this recent Miami Dolphins run defense compared to what we saw in that game back in Week 5. Receiving wise, we know the Patriots, they don't currently have that alpha wide receiver that's striking fear into opposing defenses. They're more so of the strategy right now of spreading it around. A couple of their guys, I would say, specialize in a few areas. Tight end Hunter Henry, he's the reliable guy. He's the security blanket. He is their chain mover. He leads their team in targets, receptions, yards, and catches that have produced first downs. Now, why I really highlight Hunter Henry, go back a few days to when we played the Raiders, who absolutely dominated us from a pass catching perspective. Their tight end, Brock Bowers, they couldn't do anything on the ground. They didn't really have a lot of success throwing to the wide receivers. We knew it was going to Brock Bowers. Didn't matter. He had 13 catches, a touchdown, over like 120 some yards. Really curious to see what changes Anthony Weaver makes this week against Hunter Henry, who's not in the same class as Brock Bowers, but still no slouch at tight end. Demario Douglas, he's their speed guy. He's their yards after catch type of guy. And then they've got Kayshon Boutte, top name in the NFL. Kendrick Bourne, Jaylen Polk, all those guys sort of kind of fill in your gaps as more of your traditional wide receivers. But once again, I'll repeat, none of those guys strike fear in opposing defenses. So yeah, maybe we see more blitzing. We see more Jalen Ramsey coming off that edge, putting the heat on Drake Maye, getting his hands on those passing lays. And then Anthony Weaver to the rest of the secondary, you know what? Make those guys earn that check. Handle the business against the pass catchers, even without Ramsey in some of those situations. Let's flip it here. Let's go to the Patriots defensively, obviously us offensively, because Dolphins fans, what has been the story for us offensively recently? You all know it. It's the longer drives, just the sustained drives. It's taking more time off the clock. It's not near as many of these chunk yardage plays, these quick strike touchdowns that we saw that was first 2 years of Mike McDaniel. So that is the chess game that I'm looking forward to in this one. And then moving forward, honestly, throughout the rest of the season, because do the Patriots go into this game saying, we'll let you have your 5 yards at a time, but by doing so, we're eliminating those big, quick strike plays down the field? Or do they say, you know what, this team didn't punt last week. They scored on essentially every possession, minus that one before half last week. You know what, maybe we should improvise. So, yeah, I'd really keep my eye on that. I would expect that there's no team that's just going to say, okay, we're just going to not provide safety help, and Jaylen, Waddle, and Tyreek Hill are just going to run free in your secondary. So I don't expect a huge change, but at some point in time, you've got to think these defensive coordinators are just going to get sick of continually getting ding and dunked on. And then when that does happen, you know what we need? We need Tua to remember how the offense did perform the first 2 years under Mike McDaniel. You take the Dan Marino advice. You pick a guy, you let it fly, you get those quick strikes, those quick scores that we, as fans, obviously want to see sprinkled in here as well. On the ground, Dolphins fans, do you remember back to week 5? That was the game where Mike McDaniel, I would say, lost a little bit of his stubbornness. He changed up a little bit of the game plan, the play calling. He turned that corner and he made our offense run heavy while Tua was out of that one. 41 rushing attempts, 193 yards, and a touchdown. Now, going into Sunday, do I think we duplicate that? No. I don't see us having 41 rushing attempts, but this is definitely another thing to keep an eye on because we've seen the run game struggle these last couple of weeks while fullback Alec Ingold has been out. And like I said, I will touch more on the injury report later in this week, but I would say there's probably at least a good chance Alec Ingold misses again. So we got to see that because this is honestly getting to the time of the year. We're middle of November? I know the weather's going to be fine on Sunday, but when we start hitting these road games in December, January, we got the Packers, we got the Jets, we got the Browns. We're going to need to be able to rely on the ground game when the cold, when the wind, when the rain, when the snow, when all of those kind of things can become factors. One thing I wanted to touch on relating to the Patriots secondary before we wrap this one up. We got to know where Christian Gonzalez is at all times. Now, this is kind of funny because last week against the Rams, they targeted him only 4 times. He only gave up 9 receiving yards. Good, right? But that funny thing is that they really didn't put him on Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp. And guess what happened? Both of those guys went for over 100 receiving yards. They combined for 3 touchdowns through the air as well. So that would be like having Christian Gonzalez cover Malik Washington or Odell Beckham Jr. while Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle are just running free throughout your secondary. So yeah, are they going to change? Are they going to improvise that as well? Because he is 100% the guy that we need to keep an eye on in that Patriots secondary. But if they go with that strategy again of having him just kind of cover a guy and eliminate him, the Dolphins are a bad team to do that again. So I'm definitely keeping my eye on that. All right, Dolphins fans, we talked about that final preview and prediction video. That is what's on tap for the next video that will be coming out. So like I said, if you've got any thoughts, any questions that you would like me to hit on in that video, go ahead and drop them in the comments of this video. I will wrap it right there for today, Miami Dolphins fans. But until the next video, fins up.